In this article, Associate Professor Andrei Marin and I provide a relevant, if partial, answer to a vexing question that development practitioners in the Mayan rainforest of Mexico have been struggling with. Why, despite remarkable efforts at getting institutions right, as Francis Cleaver puts it, do community forestry enterprises seldomly achieve endogenous development? We examined the case of San Felipe Oriente, a village located in the Mayan zone of the state of Quintana Roo, Mexico, which experienced the rise and decline of a community forestry enterprise which aimed to encourage endogenous development. In the rural Yucatan Peninsula, the dominant communitarian land regime is called ejido, an institution with a long history in Mexico. In this context, there are ontological tensions between the communitarian consensual logic of rural communities and the competitive drive that a forestry enterprise must demonstrate to overcome structural challenges. We draw on two distinct theoretical and analytical approaches. Institutional bricolage helps us to understand that individuals tend to improvise and import meanings and symbols from other contexts. Such meanings can be successfully imported if people regard them as part of a local tradition, even if they represent an innovation at local level. We also use the theory of gradual change, which stems from historical institutionalism. This theory proved useful in exploring whether the current backsliding of community forestry enterprises is in part driven by the persistence of historical mechanisms. We collected data through an ethnographic immersion that took place between July 2019 and June 2020. We relied on non-participant observation, direct semi-structured interviews conducted with all San Felipe Oriente's households, interviews with external actors, and extensive reviews of ethno-historic sources on the Mayan people and the Yucatan Peninsula. We found that charcoal production became an important component of San Felipe Oriente's people's livelihoods around 2008, and this activity evolved into a community forestry enterprise that has had deep impact in the local economy. Throughout the 2010s, with the assistance of Consejo Civil Mexicano para la Silvicultura Sostenible, or Mexican Civil Council for Sustainable Forestry, San Felipe Oriente villagers created a local cooperative and joined a regional commercialization alliance called Plataforma de Cooperación Comercial, or Commercial Cooperation Platform. However, in 2019, an internal rupture in the ejido changed the rules of appropriation of forestry resources, hindering the objectives of the commercialization platform. On the one hand, institutional bricolage assisted us in understanding the apparent causes of the rupture in the ejido: complex family rivalries, suspicions of embezzlement, unfair exclusions, and the disruption of customary practices regarding the distribution of monetary benefits. On the other hand, the theory of gradual change allowed us to identify two important historical continuities. Ejidos have been the legitimate historical intermediaries between internal and external interests, and ejidos have subordinated local interests into the wider social order through a corporatist logic. Based on these findings, we argue that the dilemma that confronts development practitioners in San Felipe Oriente, as in other ejidos in the region, is to determine the possibility of sharing the legitimacy of the ejido with other entities, like the cooperative, which was, by design, more efficient and accountable, or to inject accountability and efficiency into the ejido's corporatist practices. Based on these findings, we encourage development practitioners addressing the historical continuities of ejidos as a focus of their intervention.